Good morning or afternoon, my friends. I am glad to be here with you today for a little education seminar kind of thingy, very impromptu, around the Safe and Sound Protocol, otherwise known as integrativelistening.com. And if you go there, you can look at all the research, all the program, all the training, all the things. So before we get started, I just want to say hello and thank you all to all those in the group who have a shared passion and interest for trauma integrated or informed care, at least, to those who are struggling with chronic eating disorders and chronic dieting, binge eating, emotional eating, anorexia, bulimia, ARFID, and all the things that kind of show up around that, whether it's anxiety, depression, and in general not feeling safe and thriving in life. And so this education is going to be around something that I did training in about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, but I've known about for a long time. I just never got around to doing it. And it's something from Stephen Porges. You may all know Stephen Porges as the originator and lead research on something called the polyvagal theory, which just talks about that we have kind of a hierarchical structure in our nervous system and our neuroception towards safety or threat. And so you all know about my different trainings I do around if a client is in fight or flight, freeze or please, or they're in their ventral, and those are different parts of our nervous system that have a lot to do with being able to feel that we have the capacity to eat normatively and to digest normatively. And just makes a lot of difference. So I thought I would start off with looking at some of the research around the Safe and Sound Protocol. So what it is, I'm going to read a little bit, I have a little bit of web copy that I have yet to put on my website, which I'm going to do here real shortly, as soon as I can. And just to kind of let you all know that I provide this work as an adjunct to regular nutrition counseling. And people can do it either weekly with me, or they can do it more as a adjunct at home with check-ins with me. So there's different ways to do it. It really just depends on somebody's ability to honestly follow through with the protocol so it will work, and how quickly or slowly we need to do the sound protocol. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to look at some of the research. It's right on the integrativelistening.com research page. You can look at it under, there's a couple different programs, but look at the Safe and Sound Protocol. That's the one that I use, that I help people with. So basically SSP, that's what's called Safe and Sound Protocol, is a neural exercise. So it's an auditory program I'll show you here. You wear headphones, and there's 3 different programs. There's the core, there's the connect, and there's the balance, and they both all offer different songs and different levels of distortions to reduce auditory hypersensitivity, to improve processing of speech, so communication, and to improve behavioral state and affect regulation. So all that means is like, wow, I have the ability to hear what I hear, to be in proximity to people in their speech, and the ability to have some internal discomfort and to be able to regulate that. This is what this stimulates. It's an acoustic, so auditory stimulation exercise to the middle ear. So again, you're listening to music that's distorted. I've gone through it. To rehabilitate and to normalize acoustic transfer function in the middle ear. All this fancy stuff means is that, remember, our ventral vagal comes from our cranial nerves in our brain, and these nerves actually innervate our face. So our chewing, our swallowing, our vision, hearing, and a lot of times with trauma, what happens is because we go into so much fight or flight and then dorsal, you go out of your ventral vagal. You have less of that. You have less ability to connect. You connect less to feel safer over here in hiding or hibernation, or over here in in hyper movement, hyper focus, fight or flight, and you don't hear people. You don't neurocept to people and what they're saying to you as much. So over time, basically voices and people, and we start to tune people out. And so you're not using your middle ear anymore as a sensory system to neurocept to safety or not. That's the bottom line. This is what the science is. So anyway, they're doing studies all over the world. So this is what I'm reading from the website. And what I think is really interesting, they're using this on people with pretty severe sensory issues. So we're talking autism, ADD, PWS, which is Prader-Willi syndrome. If you've never worked with that condition, I actually spent 3 years in a clinic working with that population, and they don't feel hunger or they don't feel fullness signals. They're not really born with that signal really connected, so they're trying to do some of this work to see if they can help stimulate some of those nerves to be more active. It's really, really interesting. So they're optimizing the social engagement system in people with Prader-Willi. Very interesting, right? Okay, so they're basically working with the part of the brain that's neurocepting internal signals like vibrations and sensations. Really interesting. They're also doing some work, Stephen Porges with Indiana and the University of North Carolina on this program with chronic pain. How many of our clients have lupus, fibromyalgia, chronic pain? I know I have people, and they're doing, let's read this real quick, and then I'll read from my website how I use it with eating disorders, and then if you're interested in learning more, you can contact me. All right, so I'm going to look at this here. It's clinicaltrials.gov. So the goal of this is to see the listening project protocol, the Safe and Sound protocol, is non-invasive, can reduce chronic pain in older adults. The pain reduction will coincide with improved autonomic function by the myelinated vagus nerve up here above our diaphragm, as well as decrease in the reactivity of autonomic functions in everyday experiences. So basically, as you have more ventral vagal, the hope is that activation and you're more connected, that you might have less sensitivity to pain as well. They're looking at pain intensity and pain experience. So I'm just kind of reading through this here. And okay, I'm just kind of looking to see if there's any more. Or if this is an ongoing study right now. Let me see here. Okay, so this is still in work. So just so you know that the research is still being done. And the last update was on 2019. So they're still following people, it looks like. So I'll have to keep on top of this to see what's going on here for us all and report back. They're doing lots of hypersensitivity. Okay, cool. So there's that. All right, I'm going to share with you a little bit of what's on my website, and I'll post this below too if you're interested in finding it. And I have a couple clients going through it right now, and one of them has had really amazing results, so I'm going to post some of her stuff later in the comments below too. So what do we do when we've done talk therapy for food and body image issues, ARFID, feeling like we just can't eat, want to eat normally but we can't keep it down, or we feel like we can't stop? Maybe our food variety is limited, we're afraid of fullness, we forget normal eating sometimes, while struggling with body checking and other body image repetitive issues, like trapped with our stuckness because of trauma, or that our environments are too loud, too bright, too fast, or overwhelming. If our clients or even ourselves are struggling with this, it could be that we need to open up our window of tolerance, otherwise known as our capacity to cope with emotions, sensations, and life. So something that we can offer as dietitians, if you choose to get the training, or you need to send your clients somewhere else, me as an adjunct or someone else as an adjunct to what you're doing in nutrition counseling, that we can offer them the Safe and Sound protocol. And then you can go to that website and go look at the research if they want. And I think I read to you like how it works basically. So how does it work? So based on Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory, this program is derived from 4 decades of research on the relationship between the autonomic nervous system and social and emotional processes. The first thing to understand is the importance of the autonomic nervous system. Our ANS is best described as our personal surveillance system, which determines and responds to the question, am I safe? If our ANS is continually aroused from trauma or toxic chronic stress, the muscles of our middle ear shift away from listening for human voices and instead listen for low-frequency background noises in preparation for the need to fight or flight. This makes us much less able to socially engage and more likely to be reactive. Okay, and so what happens if we're in fight or flight? We don't produce saliva, we don't produce gastric juices, we don't have good gastric motility. Our awareness of obviously preferences and what restaurant we want to eat goes away because we're in this flight and fight response. This non-invasive intervention involves listening to music that's been processed specifically to retune the nervous system, to introduce a sense of safety and the ability to socially engage. This specially calibrated music trains the auditory pathways to focus on the frequency of human speech and to tune out the frequencies of background noises. So what this sounds like in real life is if you want to experience it, please reach out to me. We can go through the protocol, but it's like it has background distortion to force your ears to focus on the lyrics and the music and not on the distortion. So it's creating a compassionate witness and a separation. So you can, and you do that in compassionate witnessing with me or the provider, and you start to recognize in now time that you have choice and there's something there for you, basically, that can be relatively good enough. Once the ear begins to work more normally, we are available for more social engagement, and we feel more safe to engage, and thus can experience the safety of our relationships much more fully. This allows a client to better interpret not only human speech, but importantly, the emotional meaning of language. Once interpersonal interactions improve, spontaneous social behaviors and we can have an enhanced ability to learn, self-regulate. So it's almost like this is a tool to help learn internal self-regulation and not constantly need affirmations and reassurance and all that. And they can be more engaged without being pushed to do it. So my bottom line is, I'm sharing all that, is that when we feel safe in relationship, we can eat and digest more normatively. And my proposition for people is, what would it be like to not have to white knuckle recovery, eating, shopping, cooking, trying on clothes, being in a relationship with others, constantly feeling like, okay, like I'm doing the things, but it feels like it's like things are going extremely slow, or it's minimally working. And that's the goal of this. So I'll put all this in the comments below. You can, or just go to my website and read it there too. And I'll also put my most recent, I didn't have anything to do with this. I'm just holding the space. The client's body is doing this work, and then they're reporting back some of the things they've experienced. So it's not because I'm so great. It's just because we're just trying a different modality to help with this really entrenched, hyper-activated state that's really impacting food, okay, and an ability to engage. And that's what this program is to help. So lastly, I will say that... of course, this isn't like some kind of magic pill kind of thing. It's like it's a protocol. It's a listening protocol, and that most of my clients I find that have very sensitive nervous system, highly sensitive people, we have to go much slower. So if the protocol says the core, which I find that people need to do probably 3 times through to really feel like there's a lot more movement and ability to engage and trust people, and then eat normatively. I'm finding that that we have to go way slower than the protocol says. Well, I'm talking like it says 30 minutes. Sometimes at the beginning we're only doing a song, and can we do a song twice a week or a song every other day? And then in addition to that, we need to be placing in some ventral, which is like go horseback riding, go sit by the lake. Really be in nature. That's really helpful for our highly sensitive folks, our more empathic folks. Not be in situations that like the body has to be like snap back in to this protective state. So if we do this and then kind of like basically keep the system juiced with good, I find that people do better as well. So let me see here. What are the questions that I know people are going to have, like a scope of practice? I don't really talk. This isn't talk therapy. It's really just like, can I be with somebody and help them have the courage and the ability to know it's safe to say, I don't want to listen to this anymore. What are you noticing? What does your body need? That's it. That's the most interaction verbally is that we have. And then we just kind of process noticing and really having some trust in the process. That's it. So I'm not doing any trauma therapy or any of those kind of things, really working with the physiology. So that's essentially what I'm doing. And the reason I got into this really, because I've been putting off doing this work with people for a couple of years, because I like needed to find some evidence of it being connected with appetite and all that. And I finally, with some of the autism group, that Porges was saying that he noticed that people had a lot more willingness to try new foods. Like their palate was expanding, and he noticed that was an observation. So I'm like, okay, it's like it was a string that I needed to hold on to feel like this might be helpful with our clients who are struggling with normative eating. That people who have notoriously very, very selective eating patterns can be afraid of food, where their intakes were expanding. And there it is. So I hope this little mini webinar kind of thing was helpful to you. I will be putting, again, a summary of some of what I've talked about today in the comments below. If you don't want to listen to this, or if you didn't get all the way through it, that's fine. If you did, thank you so much. If you're interested in doing a clarity call about like how you think this would help some of your clients, please reach out to me. If you feel like that you want to use this as an adjunct to some of your most stuck clients, again, please reach out and we can talk about how to educate your clients about this, or me pop in to help you in a session to help clients like learn more about it, see if they feel like they want to give it a shot and what that's like. So I have openings right now. So I thought this would be a good time when I have some openings as well to like help you all maybe have some better outcomes with your clients. So that's what we're doing here. They don't need to transfer care to me. They would just do some of this, set the protocol and be followed with that and follow progress. So that's it. All right, so I'll put some stuff below if you're interested, and if you have more questions about it, please let me know as well. And thank you all so much for taking the time to watch all this all the way through, and thank you for doing the good work you're doing as well. So I'm glad to be able to support you, and if you have more questions, please reach out. Talk to you soon, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye for now.